Hi there. We're in day 221 of Through the New Testament in 1 year. And we're doing chapter 10 today, but we're going to go back and, because it's one continuous thing, okay, we're going to go back and read the last part of 9 here. Israel's unbelief. What shall we say then? The Gentiles who do not pursue righteousness have attained it. That is, a righteousness that is by faith. But that Israel, who pursued a law that would lead to righteousness, did not succeed in reaching that law. Why? Because they did not pursue it by faith. But as if it were based on works, they have stumbled over the stumbling stone, as it is written. Behold, I am laying in Zion a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. That's Jesus. Okay? And whoever believes in him will not be put to shame. Right? Okay, so there's 10. It's not a long chapter, so here we go. Brothers, my heart's desire and prayer to God for them is that they may be saved. For I bear them witness that they have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. For being ignorant of the righteousness of God and seeking to establish their own, they did not submit to God's righteousness. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. Right? They're still going by the Old Testament law. Jesus established a new law, right? The message to salvation to all. Okay? For Moses writes about the righteousness that is based on the law, that the person who does the commandments shall live by them. But the righteousness based on faith says, do not say in your heart, who will ascend to heaven, that is, to bring Christ down, or who will descend into the abyss, that is, to bring Christ up from the dead. But what does it say? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith that we proclaim. Because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Okay? That's 10:9. Huge, huge memory verse. Okay? For with the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confesses and is saved. For the scripture says, everyone who believes in him will not be put to shame, for there is no distinction between Jew and Greek. For the same Lord is Lord of all, bestowing his riches on all who call on him. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Here's another one, 13. 9 and 13. Okay. How then will they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him who they have never heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? And how are they to preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. But they have not all obeyed the gospel, for Isaiah says, Lord, who has believed what he has heard from us? So faith comes from hearing, hearing through the word of Christ, right? Faith comes from hearing, and hearing comes from the word of Christ, okay? But I ask, why have they not heard? Indeed they have, for, and these are verses, right? The voice has gone out to all the earth, and their words to the ends of the world. But I ask, did Israel not understand? First Moses says, I will make you jealous of those who are not a nation. With the foolish nation I will make you angry. Then Isaiah is so bold as to say, I have been found by those who did not seek me. I have shown myself to those who did not ask for me. But of Israel, he says, all day long I have held out my hands to disobedient and contrary people. Right? Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, there's some major memory verses in here, right? Leading some to the Lord, 10:9. Right? Because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Okay? And 13. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Right? I like that. Right? And this is interesting down here, right? He's using examples from the Old Testament, right? The voice has gone out into the earth, and their words to the ends of the world, right? I asked, did Israel not understand? First Moses says, I will make you jealous of those who are not a nation. With a foolish nation, I will make you angry. Okay? And Isaiah is bold to say, I I have been found by those who did not seek me. I have shown myself to those who did not ask for me. Right? That's the Gentiles. But of Israel, he says, all day long I've held out my hands to a disobedient and contrary people. Right? To this day. Right? To this very day. So cool, huh? So there's Romans 10. Another short chapter. Right? I'm just going over it in my head real quick because brother, my heart desire for God and them to be saved. Right, this is Paul talking about Israel. My heart's desire and prayer to God for them is that they may be saved. For I bear them witness that they have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. For being ignorant of the righteousness of God and seeking to establish their own, they did not submit to God's righteousness. That's Jesus, okay? For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. Right? Right. So, good stuff. Huh? Remember those memory verses, 10:9 and 10:13. Right? If you're leading somebody into the right path, planting seeds. So, there you go. There you go. That's day 221, and we're getting through it. Okay. About halfway through Romans. So, and Romans is probably the best book for us to read as far as the epistles. Romans, Corinthians is another one. Okay, they were more other Gentiles that were just totally lost. Okay, and he wrote this from Corinth. So, and he probably writes Corinthians next. Okay, so, and maybe he writes them from another country just so they can't hunt him down and, and kill him. Right. So, there you go. Give us a like, think about it, and tomorrow we'll continue. See you then.